With the rising popularity of Pokemon fan projects comes a lot of new players, some who might not even know how to play one. Since I cover nearly a dozen on my channel each month, I'm going to be showing you how to download, patch, and play almost any Pokemon fan game and ROM hack on your PC and Android devices. If you're playing on a handheld, I suggest Googling to see if it runs on an Android operating system to know if you're in the right place. And if you happen to get lost, make sure you check out the description for timestamps on each direction. But to download a Pokemon fan game, you're going to first need to find one. Because these projects aren't official or legally protected, it's sometimes hard to tell if the website that popped up in Google search is actually legitimate. Most fan projects are going to be hosted on either Poke Community, EV Expo, or the creator's Twitter account. In general, I'd say that if the site locks the download behind a bunch of sketchy advertisements, or seems almost entirely AI generated, it's usually not the correct place to download the game. I also leave a Google Doc full of download links in the description of every video I make, so if you want easy access to fan games, I highly suggest subscribing. Okay, but we found the official host. We've downloaded the game onto our PC. By default, it'll appear in the downloads folder. Now it's time to extract the file. If you're coming from ROM-hacks, this is a bit more than just getting a .gba file you can shove into your emulator. But on the bright side, you won't be needing an emulator. As far as I know, the newer versions of Windows should be able to extract almost any compressed file type, but worst case scenario, you might need to download and install something like WinRAR or 7-zip, both of which are free, both of which I will leave links to down in the description below. In rare cases, these games will sometimes need to be played through a launcher, which obviously will do most of the work for you, but 99% of the time it's going to be a folder containing the game files. Alright, we're almost there. The folder is extracted, it can be opened, and inside is a bunch of stuff. You're going to be looking for a file called game.exe, or sometimes just the name of the actual game. Now, in very rare situations, launching the game might give you this message. Most of the time, it is just Windows Defender being paranoid, although I cannot be the one to tell you that this is a definite. It is a decision that you will have to make on your own, at your own risk. In some rare cases, my game included at the moment, you might also need to install a patch, which will simply follow the same instructions from before. Download the patch, extract it, and then copy the files and paste them into the game's main folder, just like I'm doing here. When you're asked to replace the files, hit replace all. But oh no, something broke. The game won't launch. There's an error. What should I do? 90% of the time, this is the result of an incorrect or only partially completed extraction. Something that can be solved by just deleting the extracted folder and re-extracting the compressed file you just downloaded. However, if your issue persists, it might be a good idea to join the Discord for the game and use the search function. It's very likely someone else had the same issue as you, and I cannot stress enough how much quicker it'll get you your answer than by asking in chat, especially if it's a smaller, less active community. That should be all there is to it. I do also want to mention that save files for RPG Maker fan games are almost always saved in a completely different location, either in this PC, whatever your storage is named, users, your PC profile, app data, roaming, game name. This is what the save file folder usually looks like. Or, for older fan games, this PC, whatever your storage is named, users, your PC profile, saved games, and name of the game. This does mean that as long as the creator doesn't change the name of the game internally, you can run an updated version without losing your save file. The Android operating system isn't solely for phones. It could also be for a custom handheld, or a tablet, or something else. If you don't know yourself, just give it a quick Google search. If it comes back telling you your device runs on an Android operating system, you're in the right place. The first thing you want to do is install an app called Joiplay. But where do you find a Joiplay? The safest place to download it is from their Patreon. You don't need a subscription, nor do you need an account. You're just going to want to download the latest version alongside the RPG Maker plugin. Once you've successfully downloaded both, you can either A, navigate to the APKs in your download folder, or B, go to the Downloads tab in your browser app, and install them from there. Your phone may restrict you or provide a security alert, and I'll say the same thing I said in the Windows instructions. This is the decision you have to make for yourself. I've never been a victim to malware with the app myself, but again, I'm not responsible for whatever you choose to do. Okay, you've installed Joiplay, you've installed RPG Maker, don't forget that part. The games will not work without it. Now we need to find the games, which I highly suggest referring to the where to download timestamp if you're confused. But let's say you hit the download button for the game on your phone. Now what? Most of the time, this process is as simple as navigating to the downloads folder, pressing down on the zip file, and hitting extract all. But sometimes you'll be met with something other than a zip file, perhaps another form of file compression like a .rar. At least my phone is incapable of extracting these from the default Files app, so we'll have to download another app. I myself use an app called RAR in all caps. It's very simple and easy to use. It sometimes asks you to donate money, but other than that, it's completely safe. Navigating the RAR app is very similar to the default Files app. You go to download, you scroll down until you find your file location, and then hit extract files. Quick warning, these files are quite big compared to what most phones are used to, so the process may take a few minutes. Once your desired game is extracted, let's finally head into the Joiplay app. After going through the little slideshow they provide you, you're going to first want to hit the plus icon in the top right, followed by Add Game. Tap Choose, and then once again you're going to need to navigate to your files and locate the game. You're looking for game.exe, and usually while scrolling the downloads folder, the folder you're looking for will have a controller icon placed over it. You can customize the name, version, or image if you'd like. I'm 90% sure these are cosmetic and will have no impact on if the game will run or not. Then all you have to do next is tap the game and wait for it to load. But oh no, something broke, the game won't launch, or maybe the app crashed. What do? The first thing I advise doing is joining the Joiplay Discord and searching the name of the game. Most of the time, someone has had similar issues as you, and a Joiplay developer might have responded with an instant solution. This is usually just a patches.json folder that you can put into the game's main folder, and that'll solve your issue. Sometimes it's a more complicated process. I can't go over every specific situation. You might also have to uninstall and reinstall the game in Joiplay after you do that. I'm pretty sure folders auto-update on the newest app version. I cannot be certain. There's also a chance the game has a separate Joiplay version or patch provided by the game creators themselves, or an older version of the app is more recommended, which can be found by scrolling through their Patreon. In most cases, however, FanGame developers don't prioritize or account for Joiplay at all, and will likely be unable to help you if you run into an error. These games are made for Windows PCs. The fact that they can even run on Android without full mobile ports is quite impressive on its own. Now, there is another emulator option for Android, Kirin. Kirin performs and looks significantly better. I personally think Kirin will outshine Joiplay in the future, especially since it runs on a newer version of MKXP. But for now, it does have two drawbacks. Unlike Joiplay, Kirin does not have an external speedup button at the moment, meaning if the FanGame lacks one, you're stuck at default speed. Because Kirin is much newer, there's not a massive community you can use to resolve any issues you face. Personally, I suggest just installing both, and if a FanGame doesn't work on one, try it on the other. I say this because they conveniently use the same methods for storing save files. To install Kirin, you simply need to go to their website, another thing I will leave in the description. It once again is not on the Play Store, but again, I personally have not encountered any security issues despite that. Hit the download button, navigate to your downloads folder through the Files app or through that same browser, and install the APK. To download the actual games on your phone, I suggest going back and watching the Joiplay segment on that. The process is pretty much the same. Once the games are downloaded and extracted, you just have to hit the plus icon on the top right, and like Joiplay, navigate to the game.exe of the game located in your files. Finally, to update the Kirin and Joiplay apps, as well as Joiplay's RPG Maker plugin, all you really have to do is download the APK of the newest version, and your phone should ask if you want to update the app as opposed to installing it. To download a Pokemon ROM hack, you first need to find them. 99% of ROM hacks released in the last decade are on a website called Hackdex. And before I get into how that site works, what about the 1% that aren't? Most other ROM hacks are going to be hosted on either Poke Community, EV Expo, or a link through the creator's social media. In general, I say if the site has a bunch of sketchy advertisements or seems almost entirely AI generated, it's usually not the correct place to download the hack. Let's say you found your hack, it's time to patch it, which will require a base, aka a ROM of the official game. For obvious reasons, I won't be showing you how to get one of these, you'll unfortunately have to figure that out on your own. If you're using Hackdex, the process is extremely easy. Either go to My Base ROMs and select your ROMs manually, or just click on the hack and provide it there. Now, I need to stress that despite what it looks like, you are not actually uploading your ROM to the internet. It is simply being cached locally to your browser. It never leaves your PC. But once you do that, any hack on this site that uses a ROM you've provided as a base will be patched automatically when you download it. This saves even if you close your browser or shut off your device. I'm assuming it'll reset if you clear your browser data, otherwise you should never have to worry about resubmitting your ROM. Now, if the hack you want to download isn't on Hackdex, you're usually going to have to manually patch it. GBA patches are usually going to be a .ups, .bps, or a .ips, and NDS patches are usually going to be a .xdelta. Most creators are going to host these in one of the places I mentioned before, if not Hackdex. Then you're going to need to find a website to manually patch that hack. Usually I just use ROM-patcher.js, but if you're on Android, you can also get an app to do so when you're offline. Select your ROM file, select the patch file, hit apply patch, wait a few moments, and then you should be good. On the off chance it gives you an error, this usually means the website can't match the base ROM to the patch, which I first suggest trying other sites to manually patch, but it might also just mean you have an incompatible base. But to play a ROM hack, you need an emulator. Now, you might be wondering why I showed you how to download the ROM hack before the emulator, and that's because not every ROM hack works on every emulator. But I've never found a hack I wasn't able to play on an emulator that wasn't free to use. For Windows, I personally suggest MGBA for GBA, and Desmumi or MelinDS for NDS. The first two have been around for as long as I can remember, and I've yet to find a single hack that does not work with them, although Desmumi hasn't received a lot of updates over the years, so don't be afraid to use something else. Which I do suggest if the developer specifically states that their hack doesn't work on what I've recommended. For MGBA, you just have to go to their website that I'll also leave in the description, click on the Downloads tab on the right hand side, and select a download of your choice. Personally, I prefer the portable archive over the installer. Once that's downloaded, it'll appear in the downloads folder on your PC. As far as I know, the newer versions of Windows should be able to extract almost any compressed file type. You might need to download and install something like WinRAR or 7-zip, both of which are free, both of which I will leave links to in the description. Once the app is launched, either through the folder or the installer, you're then going to want to drag the ROM right into the app, and it should load just fine. You could also go to File in the top left and hit Load ROM button, but I personally find the drag and drop method to be much easier. I also highly suggest having a folder for each ROM. That way your save files and screenshots are all organized. For Desmumi and MelinDS, the process is fairly identical, but I'll still have a screen recording of me going through the process in the background. Emulation on Android is extremely easy. It might surprise you, but I actually play and record 99% of the hacks I showcase on my channel on my phone using a handheld controller. Unfortunately, the two emulators I use and am most familiar with aren't exactly free. So the one I'll be using for this tutorial is Retroarch. To install Retroarch, you first need to go to its website, which I'll leave in the description below. It's unfortunately not on the Google Play Store, but I haven't had any security issues despite that. Tap Get Retroarch, and it should detect the device you're using. If you want a build that's updated frequently, get nightly. If you want a build that's the most stable, get stable. Your phone may restrict you or provide a security alert. This is a decision you have to make yourself. I've not been a victim to malware with the app myself, and it's been downloaded by hundreds of thousands of people, but again, I'm not responsible for the decision you make. Retroarch is surprisingly easy to use. The first thing you need to do once inside the app is go to Load Cores and download a core. There's a lot of stuff here. You're going to find an emulator for like every Nintendo system. For the sake of this video, I'm just going to search GBA and NDS, where you can find the exact same emulators I suggested for PC. Tap on them, wait a few moments, and then go back into the main menu screen. Tap Load Content, open another directory, and locate the ROMs on your device. Like the PC segment, I recommend making an individual folder for each hack, so your save files and screenshots are organized properly. You can also use the bottom middle button to view your play history and quickly launch ROMs you've recently played.